Welcome everybody to the 10th anniversary Pintastic New England. We've had presentations from Multimorphic going back to our very first show in 2015. And we're lucky that one of the top developers for Multimorphic is resident in this area and is able to come over here pretty easily and give updates. You've seen the progress of the P3. They've had more add-in modules for their platform than all other modular platform pinball systems in all of pinball history. And they're still going strong. So now we're going to take a really deep dive into the portal with Michael Ocean.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, in fact, Pintastic is a very special show to me because it was 10 years ago where I started talking to Jerry Sellenberg about actually working on the P3 instead of just homebrew stuff. And we hung out for a long time at this show. Sure. Is that better? Okay. I can also yell, but nobody wants that. So yes, no, I do you want me to? Okay, I'll do this, and I'll angle it this way. Okay. I get an upgrade. Thank you.
Well, no, you aren't.
Ideally, I would like all of the mic stands.
You like all of the mics?
Yeah. Thank you.
Wait, the shot. Honorable.
That's all right.
Friends online hate you.
Oh, I don't have any friends. Don't worry.
No, no.
Yeah.
Apologize to all the streaming people for hearing that rattling.
That's fine. That's fine.
All three of them.
Yeah, just jump into now, and that would be better. Yeah, so I've been working with Multimorphic for quite some time. My name is Michael Ocean. I'm a regular software developer for Multimorphic. I was co-creative director on this game, Portal, which many of you hopefully have had a chance to play. I was also on the software team for this game. This game would not exist if not for the work of a lot of people, and I'm going to credit all these people because they all also provided slides and other assets to help sort of make this show interesting. The general sort of presentation here that I have planned for us today is to just sort of briefly show what the game is today, and then show you a lot of how the game came to be. So I have a lot of behind-the-scenes photos and videos, and you can see how it came into existence. So there were three of us who were creative directors on this game. Ian Harrower, who you may know as a tournament player, or from his P3 games that he's made as a third-party developer before joining Multimorphic. He made Blood Bank Billiards and a really charming game called Birdwatcher, in which it's sort of like Pokemon Snap. It's a very Zen-like experience. Anyway, that game is great. I'm there too. And Steven Silver, who's been with Multimorphic on pretty much every single title, going back to Lefty Lightspeed. Whoops, excuse me. Artwork, this was our first game working with Brad Albright, who's done a truly tremendous job. I don't think there's a single surface of the game that's undecorated, including inside of scoops. When the faceplate plate goes up, you can see there's actually artwork underneath for the rare times that is up as well. So Ian and I worked on software. Ian has been a juggernaut on this game. What he's brought to the team is amazing. On graphics and animation, we have Rory Cernuda, who's been with us for a long time as well, and Stephen, again, the mechanical designer, TJ Weaver, and Trey Jones. Fantastic people. Every mech that you see in previous Multimorphic games or previous P3 titles, TJ Weaver has turned those into a reality for us. Got Scott Denisi on audio. It's great to work with Scott again. He's done a great job. And the voice work in this game, we have Ellen McLean as GLaDOS, and then we also have Mark Silk as our own custom personality for Reggie. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the P3. So in a sort of range of where you're at, if you're a current owner, maybe that's a thumbs up. And if you were just looking for a place to sit down, or you were hoping there would be cake, maybe that's a thumbs down. If you've been following it for a bit, maybe you're up here. It's an analog range of thumbs up to thumbs down is what I'm looking at. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Perfect. I've got some bad news about the cake, but no, that's all right. Well, thank you very much for coming. At least it's warm in here. It very well might be. Okay, so let me briefly sort of give you just a quick overview. I think most people are familiar with the P3, and I'm going to talk about in context of what I've done most recently for the platform. So I was co-creative director and software lead on Weird Al's Museum of Natural Hilarity. If you've had a chance to play that game, thank you. If you haven't had a chance to play that game, I suggest you seek it out. What it does very nicely, I think, is that it provides a really whimsical environment in which you can enjoy like a nice kinetic energy from the spiral shot, from the hamster wheel. There's a lot going on, and because it's the P3 platform, this is a game module that if you own a P3, you pull your P3 into service position 1, you pop out the module, you pop in the other module, in about 5 minutes you're then playing Weird Al. Honestly, Weird Al is fantastic for me as a big fan of Weird Al, and also it puts a smile on people's faces when they play it. It's one of those games where you actually see people enjoy the game that they're playing instead of in an intense focus and frustration. And speaking of, so there's Final Resistance, which was the game I worked on prior to this one. In earnest, I was software lead on Final Resistance, which is a Scott Danesi title. It presents as a traditional pinball game in a lot of ways, so it has the static inserts on the play field that are virtual, of course, representing, like we're used to playing. So you could just shoot flashing shots and pretty much do just fine. It's fast, it's fun, it has an amazing Scott Danesi soundtrack, which is really nice and upbeat and sort of compels you to keep playing. And the game is a good balance of mean but not so mean that when you get far enough into it and you lose, it's just got that just one more game feel, which I think is really important to have some sort of short, intense gameplay experiences. And then Princess Bride, where I was not development lead on this game, but I did provide a fair amount of support, light shows and other sort of frameworky things. And if people have not played The Princess Bride, there's one back in the Pinball Tycoons area. And it's deeply immersive. If you know the film, if you love the film, you're basically watching the movie on the play field and hearing the call-outs and hearing the music and hearing the audio while you shoot these shots on this very beautifully decorated play field, which again is a module, so you can swap it out, swap it in. And it gives you this experience that you're playing the movie and you're sort of transformed into this space. And look, these are just the 3 games that I worked on prior to this for Multimorphic. In reality, there were 23 games on the platform because we have an open framework in which any third-party developer can develop games. And so we have fun, strange things. We have some developers who have made some really interesting stuff. Nick Boldridge has made his own playfield module and has his own game Drain, which plays like a very, it's a no ramps classic game. And there are add-on games for that. There's a lot of variety. We allow people to do things that they wouldn't usually see in pinball, which I think leads us to game 24 for the P3, which is Portal. And so if you know Portal, you're probably very excited that a Portal pinball machine exists. And if you don't know Portal, you're probably completely, you're just sort of like, okay, this is just another pinball machine and that's fine. So in the same analog range of I've never heard of it, to I've heard of it but never played it, to I've played one or more games, to let's have a deep, intense argument about whether or not the cake actually is a lie. Where are people on Portal? Oh, okay, so I see a lot of thumbs up, which is great, which is awesome. So then I'm just going to play the trailer because what I'm going to show after we transition from the trailer and some photos is behind the scenes stuff. And I don't want anyone to think the game is not done, because you're going to see some very prototypey stuff. So I'm just going to play the trailer here. And hopefully the volume is not too excessive.
Hello again. It's been a long time. I had almost given up hope of ever testing again, but I think we can put our differences behind us. For science. Federal regulations require me to warn you that this next test chamber is looking pretty good. This next test applies the principles of momentum to movement through portals.
Hi, I'm Reginald, Team Building Core. You can call me Reggie. Oh, nice shot! Well done!
You must be very, very proud. I'm building the world's smallest trophy for you.
You didn't mean that. Okay, the momentum jump is ready. Woohoo! Oh, it's party time!
Initiating surprise in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, that's a good one. Woo-hoo-hoo. Oh, that looks nice. Get ready. Here it comes. It's showtime.
Press the button again.
I'm making a note here. Huge success. This is the hard light bridge. Oh, that was good. Bravo, well done, bravo.
This next test involves the Aperture Science Aerial Faithplate.
Wow, you're kind of good at this. Jackpot! Double jackpot! Triple jackpot!
This next test involves turrets. They're the pale spherical things that are full of bullets. Oh wait, that's you in 5 seconds.
Oh no, it's turret multi-ball! Come on, come on, come on, come on! Hit those turrets! Super jackpot! Hey, it's Edgeless Safety Cube multi-ball!
Please continue into the next test chamber.
Looks like you climbed to the top of this very tall chamber. Have I mentioned I'm not a fan of heights? Oh, don't worry, you'll do great. Got it! Cool lasers! No, 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 please, no! I can't look. No, 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 no! Ah!
Excellent. The Enrichment Center reminds you that bold, persistent experimentation is the hallmark of good science.
So yeah, that's Portal. I still have a smile on my face every time I watch this video, to be honest. So why Portal? What is Portal in the sort of video game lore, and what is this thing that means so much to so many of us? It's an iconic video game franchise with a really amazing story that's set within like a fully realized universe. There's Portal 1, there's Portal 2, which is a much longer game, and we are very hungry for every sort of tangential Portal experience that exists. So there's Aperture Desk Job, and if you know the theme, you want every one of these. There's the Lab, which is a VR experience. You want to spend as much time in this universe as possible, but it's a puzzle game, right? So players solve puzzles to escape chambers. I heard someone tell me recently, "Oh, it's a lot like Zelda Breath of the Wild when you're in a a shrine, yes." And I was like, "Oh, that's funny. I guess would we have shrines if not for Portal?" Anyway, maybe that's overstated. But and the thing that makes Portal so incredible is you walk into these environments that they change and they're dynamic, right? So you walk in and there's apologies about the chamber not being set up correctly, and these hydraulic lift arms lift panels and reconfigure the chamber as you're in it. And these puzzles are physics-based, which includes real physics simulation and physically impossible physics, right? Things like the actual portals in which fast things go in and fast things come out, and slow things go in and slow things come out, and huge aerial jumps and all these other tricks. And so when we had the chance to work on this, in our mind, this is, and now officially, the Aperture Science Portable Incline Newtonian Ballistics Accuracy Learning Laboratory. And so this is what you are experiencing. Of course, we all know that calling any pinball machine portable is a bit of a joke. They're not exactly portable, but relative to being in a test chamber, it's fairly portable. And so these are fancy pictures, which I'm going to move through quickly because I want to show you the unfancy pictures. But to be honest with you, the portals are the easy part for us because we have this secret weapon in the P3, which is the mid-playfield trough. This game is loaded with 19 balls, and we can stage and launch balls from the middle of the playfield. And what that means is that when a ball goes in, we can give you another ball back immediately in a way that is almost too fast. And so when you have certain features active, the ball moves from one place to another so quickly that it's hard to track. And you actually have to watch someone else play to sort of figure it out. And you get it on a second play or a third play. And I apologize about the lines, because I know that you wait in line and you play it once, and it takes a little bit to sort of track it. But what we're able to do on the P3, because we have this benefit of having the screen, where most machines have decorated wood, is that we can change what we're showing the player, and we can help deliver the experience of Portal, which is this dynamic environment that changes as you explore the space and as you try to find your way out of this experience. And so on the left, we have the hub, which presents using final resistance style static inserts, but also these tiles. And these tiles are very accurate to the Portal universe in that when a shot moves, right, we lift ramps and lower ramps. And the lift ramps, the inserts have to go away. And so the tiles open up, and the tiles that have the inserts slide down, and new blank tiles cover them, right? I mean, we're able to do this on the screen, and it's a really great trick, right? It's a really neat trick. But then meanwhile, then you head into test chambers, and we can show you a completely different environment, like the one on the right, in which a high-energy pellet has to be directed toward the receiver on the bottom right there, or sort of the middle of the right of the play field, and you have to shoot the shots to get the panels in the right order. This one is most like a puzzle. It can be very, very intense to try to figure out the first time you played it. We also have these sort of first-person, or what we call like traveling modes, the one you see on the left, in which you have a first-person camera in the environment, sort of represents your view, and you move shots to move through the chamber. The one on the right is one of my absolute favorite chambers that we have, which is this encouragement through discouragement, where you shoot the physical spinner shot on the left, and it rotates the platform that holds the redirection cube, so that the thermal beam the discouragement beam can sort of whip around, and when it hits your flippers, it disables your flippers briefly, disables no hold. So those sorts of tricks that can really get delivered on the P3, I think are pretty rad. So, Portal Standard is the playfield module that I've been showing you photos of. We have some very sweet features like the companion cube, which gets pushed through a portal. So if you head up to the loft, which is the library of failed tests up in the top left, that's your mini playfield. If you portal a ball up there and you push the cube, you're pushing the cube through a portal, and that same companion cube rises up on the right, which enables the physical ball lock. And that's how that faith play jump lock works. There's also a momentum jump, so when you shoot around in the loft and then shoot into the portal, if you build up enough momentum, you can launch the ball and land in one of these sort of 3 landing zones here. You have the upper landing zone, which is that catwalk, the lower landing zone where you land on that button, and then of course the goo, the acid pit if you don't have enough momentum. And then, as if throwing the ball across the air once wasn't enough, we also throw the ball across the air vertically, which is the aerial faith plate, which when it's lit is the thing that flies the ball toward the back of the playfield to land on that catwalk and lock balls behind the cube. So, because that apparently wasn't enough, and it wasn't, we also, for the first time, have Portal extended. So we have this extension module that goes over the lower 2/3 of the playfield to bring shots closer to the player, to bring art closer to the player, to bring new mechanisms. Because this is something that people have wanted, and I think this game delivers it in a significant way. One of the things that's not obvious when you talk about having this extender is just how, it sounds silly to say because it's visual, but how beautiful the art is, that it basically brings the art so much closer to you. And so the one that's over in the free play area, or over in Pinball Tycoon's room, is the extended module, which is, it has those shots closer. It has this repulsion gel tube on the right, and in the hub, the angle you can't quite see, but you shoot the side targets, and it causes the repulsion gel to sort of move through a tube, and then it becomes loaded for a kickback and diverts the ball into the kickback, which is basically like our second-story shooter lane, because we haven't had the ability to divert the ball back and forth. We have this raising ramp on the right-hand side. We have this side panel over here, which is sort of at the top left, where it says over here where Ratman has left us some notes. And when it's enabled, there's a hard light bridge, and you time your flip just right to sort of send the ball across the second story. It's awesome. It's really, really cool. It's a lot of fun. There's a physical spinner down okay, that's fine. That's the game today. Here's the deal. To sort of help you have a look behind the panels, we had this amazing opportunity to transform an iconic first-person puzzle game into, like, with impossible physics, right? With stuff you really can't necessarily do in real life, into a fun pinball machine. And as all fun projects do, this started with meetings and spreadsheets and even more meetings and even more spreadsheets. And you take something very, very fun, like the Portal universe, and we build a spreadsheet of everything we love about the Portal universe. And then we rank it. So everybody adds a row, and we vote, and we argue, and we're all collegial and friendly again now, but there were moments where, I mean, this happens on every game. You know, you want to argue for the best thing, and in almost all the games, you want to argue for everything. Now, we also rank what has to be physical. We need a companion cube. We need a personality core. We need ramps to go up and down. We need physical portals, but we also want virtual portals. We want to be able to send your physical ball to a place on the screen, have it pop up and pop down, and then return to those things. The excursion beam is a very hard trick to do in real life, and the excursion beam looks beautiful when you have the assets, and so we have an excursion beam as well, but that's represented virtually. And then we had this question, which I found in, I think, our very first meeting: are we allowed to establish new lore? Can we make our own companion? Can we make our own personality core? Would that be okay? And at the time, the answer was, I don't know. I was like, we need to know that. That's the most important question. And I was like, the lab has 1 million personality cores. It has to be okay. Well, I hope it's okay. And unbelievably, we were allowed to establish our own lore. So, how do you make a puzzle game? A game that is notoriously tricky and requires you to stop and think and process the world around you into something that is a pinball machine. You have a live ball. It's very hard to solve puzzles while you have a live ball. It's hard to stop and think. Yeah. Well, I mean, we all, you know, if you own a machine, you're used to the puzzle. Like if you refurbish old machines, I've got a bunch of old Williams machines. Getting my next gen back in shape was a different kind of puzzle. But you know, when you're playing it, I mean, you know, you wanna find a way to let the player, who may have a range of pinball skills, have a legitimate Portal experience without them having to stop and think, because that's, you know, enough of the flow, right? So the other thing is puzzles hinder replayability, right? Once you know the solution, it sort of limits how you approach the game a second time, and we didn't want that. And so what our balance was here was that the hub plays like an older Williams game. It's a traditional mode based where the modes are small, and you can complete, you know, a ramps objective, which is active. You can complete a loop objective, which is active. You can hit all targets. You can use all portals. There are all these sort of concurrent, one second. You can hit all these sort of things concurrently, and they stack with multi-balls. So our hope was that even if you don't start a test chamber, even if you don't start one of our more traditional modes, you can bang around in hub and have a really good time, and it would still be a very fun game. And because you can stack multi-balls on top of it, and the multi-balls stack with each other, you can complete a lot of those objectives. There's a really cool scoring thing where you complete an objective, but you don't collect the hurry up, and then you complete the next objective, and complete the next objective to extend the hurry up and increase the value of it. So that provides that experience with the dynamic nature of Portal. And then in the test chambers, you have a more puzzle-like experience where we're exploring specific elements like the game does, where we have a test chamber mostly dedicated to the discouragement beam. We have a test chamber mostly dedicated to the high energy pellet. We have a test chamber dedicated to the long fall momentum jump, to portal navigation. We have some others that we can't show you yet, but they're on the way, that are dedicated to other elements, other things you know and would expect to find in the Portal universe. I know it's weird, but I'm going to take a question in the middle of this, if that's okay. You had a question? Oh, perfect. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, if you have a question, just interrupt me. That's fine. I would rather ask questions as they come than wait till the end, if that's all right. But I'll keep rolling.
You're using the question mic, so we'll have to.
We'll figure it out.
You repeat it.
I'll repeat the question. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Every game, concept and rules, playfield, presentation, art, music and sound, call-outs, light shows, choreography. It all has to get done. And there's no real correct list because almost all of these things happen concurrently, right? You need to have the script so that you can get the script to the voice actors. You need to have the rules. You need to know what the rules are before you have the script. There is some sort of happens before relationships in this, but really and truly, we're trying to do as much of this in parallel as possible. And so every P3 module starts as this blank slate, which you see on the right here, and this is the mid playfield infinity trough trip, right? So all of those holes are vertical upkickers that we have at our disposal to send a ball into play. And so from there, we narrow into which ones we actually want to use on this game. Now, what makes this game different is that we knew we wanted to do the extension module right out of the gate. We wanted to provide that too. And so in every game, we designed shot paths using the entire layout of the playfield. But on this game, we said, well, anything is possible. We should put mechs as far down as we want, and TJ will find a way to make it work, which is one of our favorite things to say. I don't know if it's one of TJ's favorite things for us to say, but it's certainly one of my favorite things to say. So these, the drawings on the left, don't think they come from an artist. Those come from me and other members of the team just drawing things and trying to figure out what things would look like. That playfield on the right, surprisingly, is fairly accurate to where the game is today. No, not really. Well, it's close. It's one of the closer ones. And you can see even in this diagram, things are different. Captive ball mech is on the left. There's a drop target, which historically everyone needs to put in your game just to cost out. There are a lot of other features too. The drop target actually didn't work for the flow of the game, so we
How long did it take to just get that?
that diagram on the right.
Yeah, any of them, really? Days or weeks?
Oh, weeks.
Weeks.
Weeks. Yeah. I mean, because it's hard, right? I mean, every decision you make changes a shot path or something else, and someone's got to shoot it. You got to figure out what it's like on a prototype of sorts. But we knew right away. We knew before we did anything else. We knew that we wanted a mechanical faceplate that was going to fling the ball toward the back of the thing. And so, this is not a product placement from the Toasty sandwich crackers. Let me make sure that I'm muted here because I don't know what's exclaimed when I hit play. But this is an initial proof of concept test of tossing balls into this box. And, this is that's Jerry's arm. You didn't know Jerry was going to make an appearance in the presentation today, and I think neither did he. And so, this wasn't resetting properly. It's not the final version of the mech by any stretch of the imagination. This is pre-playfield. But it's really neat to see the ball get flung into that box and go, okay, we can probably do this. Now, what do we know about the Portal universe? We know that when you hit a faceplate, you sort of go flying through the air, and you hang a little bit in the middle of the jump, sort of surreally. We can't do that in real life. But the other thing that happens is you strike a wall, and when you strike a wall, you somehow lose a lot of your momentum and don't go bouncing backwards. I think the explanation there is that we, as a shell in the game, are squishy. And so when we hit the wall, we absorb the impact. But the pinball is not squishy. And so there's a mechanism in the back that absorbs that impact to see. Okay, so this is both a picture of how, if you're in the diagnostics menu, how you actually set coil strength for the mid playfield trough where the bucks are, and also it's a proof of concept of the momentum jump. So this is a very detailed playfield. And just sort of dialing in the strength to sort of get a good arc and get a good shot, and that's not what that mech looks like internally anymore either. But these are these even tricks we can do? How consistently can we launch the ball? Is it possible to get this to work? As we adjust the strength, can we get the multiple landing zones that we want? Because that's our concept for the game. And so here are some prototypes. I don't remember which prototype this is. If you've shot the game, you'll notice that, again, the captive ball is on the right and not the left. So these lanes have switched a bit. I'm sorry. I'm going to jump forward. The angle of the ramps is different. The shots are different. The mini playfields aren't even installed. But I hope it's interesting to see this, the sort of the area where Reggie lives And then when Reggie turns around, that turret happens to show up, but they're definitely not the same mech. Right? That thing is not fully well defined. Like right now, there's a nice area for that in the final version. If you have any questions, Ken, feel free to ask. Okay. More to come. So so on the so this is that same prototype from underneath, where you can see that we're using quite a lot of the butt tubes to be able to get balls into play and out of play from a lot of different places. I really do feel like this is one of those, like, the magician's review. This is not even I'm just some small part of this team, this large team, and I feel like I'm revealing other magicians' tricks and showing all of this. But I think when you play it, the experience of shooting a ball and having it come out somewhere else, it's not always the same ball. Not to, I shouldn't say that, right? But I mean, this is the thing that makes it happen. The mini play field, the library of failed tests, which was a fun morning, afternoon. We were pitching, what should we call this thing? Well, it's up, and it's up in the left-hand corner. It can't be a tree house. It's like a loft. Oh, loft is good. Maybe it was Ian who came up with it. I don't know. It's a great sort of thing. What's loft going to stand for? It's a good time. So this is also a prototype, as you can see, in slow motion, watching the ball get thrown by the faith plate. And I think we can agree that maybe this first attempt at dampening the impact is not the most attractive thing to look at. But, it sort of controls the ball. For the right theme, it could work.
You're building an airport terminal machine. That's my luggage.
That's to keep other people from seeing the luggage, right? That's to keep people from scampering up the unloading. But yeah, let's hit the next ones. This is the momentum jump. This is the left to right jump. And you can see sort of dialing in the strength to get the upper landing zone and to try to get, I think, are there lower landing zone flings in here as well? Oh, there's slow-mo ones. Right, so you probably don't notice it bend down. I had an image of it, and I took it out of the protective hood that keeps the ball from smacking the top in case someone has an over-adjusted coil. Whoops-a-doo. Okay. Well, that's why prototypes are prototypes. Okay. Should I? Yeah, let's keep going. Okay. So this is the cube lock, which, you lock the balls behind the cube, and the cube goes down, and they roll out. And yeah, let's talk about the playfield extension, which is hidden underneath this beautiful art on the right-hand side, but there's a fairly complex mech in there that's responsible for both lifting the ramp and for dealing with the diverter and for providing a kickback, right? This mech is really, it just looks like a repulsion gel tube, but internally, this is where all the mechanical elements are for raising and lowering the ramp, and you can't quite see it from this angle, but the diverter, because on the right return, you can either go to the inlane or it can head to the kickback. And we can store a kickback in there and let people forget about it so that later on it could be used as a portal, so that way you have a nice surprise. But now I've just told you, so maybe I've spoiled the surprise. Great. Okay, earlier prototypes of the playfield extension had this sort of nice curve at the bottom, which I think looks appealing, but in practice ultimately draws your eye to it more. And a lot of people with the flat front fail to notice that there's even an extension there. So when the ball travels across L2 and you use the hard light bridge shot, people don't even notice it. And they're very confused about what they've just seen. So the curve is nice, but it ultimately wound up being more distracting. And needless to say, art is important. That metal box on the right-hand side doesn't sell like tubes. Okay. Also Reggie. And so we knew we wanted to try to pull off having our own personality core. And early on we had this idea, well, there's lots of small displays. There's probably something we could do here, but yet we couldn't. We wanted a turret, we wanted a physical turret, but we also wanted to have this core. And so this design lets us have the core on one side and the turret on the other. And this is a very early prototype of trying to get display working on a microcontroller with some code I had not yet optimized. And I think you would notice this. And it's also not very pretty. That's just Wheatley's face, yeah. It's just Wheatley running at what feels like a frame. It's like, I think that was running at about 80 milliseconds per frame, so maybe like 10 frames per second or so. And over time, right, we got to a point where Brad was able to design for us, what Reggie looks like. We got the performance up, the sculpt became real. We get the screen mounted, and we get the microcontroller and the screen mounted into this thing, and he's got all these different expressions. Reggie, am I doing a good job with this talk? What do you think? No, I don't think so either. That's fine. And then on the left, this is a very silly thing, but it was a very good day when I could send commands to Reggie on the P3 itself and know that things were working okay. It all has to talk. It all has to work. I'm very excited. I took the slide out the day I had flash updates working from the P3. It was like, oh, finally, we can update his firmware on the P3 itself. That doesn't sound like a huge milestone, and it doesn't make for a very exciting slide, so I'm not even clear on why I'm mentioning it now. Moving on. So, okay, this is the fun stuff, right? This is Brad's beautiful art in trying to figure out what the game would look like. Lots and lots and lots of sketches. Brad was has been an amazing artist to work with. He attended almost every single meeting, lots of meetings where we said, this is boring, you don't have to stay, we're just talking about software. He's like, no, I want to stay. And then eventually you're talking about software, it turns out you're talking about rules. And Brad's had a lot of amazing ideas, and I think his artistic ability is unquestionable. You can see here a lot of different variations of side art, a lot of different variations of back panel designs, speaker panel designs, front cabinet designs, and where truly he went above and beyond was that he took the entire playfield, the early playfield prototype in CAD, and painted every single surface in Blender, so that we could then come up with we could come up with decorations for everything because he painted the entire environment. And one of the things that really works in person, and I shouldn't really call attention to it, like there's so many small details that you wouldn't even necessarily see, right? But the lift, the grates in the back, which are static, they don't move, right? That's art with shadows, such that when you look at it from the front, you could be deceived into thinking there are actually posts there. It's a really convincing effect. And yeah, he just every single thing. And I'm not kidding when I say underneath the faceplate, there is art. Inside the scoop, there is art, and they reflect things very, very nicely. Yeah. And then here's the topper, which Brad designed, which has these fun laser beams on them, which I know are for tracking. You would hope I would know that. But when you're in turret multi-ball and the turret is fired, we flash them, which technically isn't right, but it looks really fun. And people really like it. So it's this multi-dimensional presentation. Okay, here's the exciting stuff. Rules. We probably spent, a Word document. Wow. There's probably, I remember I had the responsibility of sort of putting all of this together into a document that we sent off to Valve. There's about a 60-page write-up that explained all the different areas of the playfield, this image on the right is the shorthand name that we use for every portal entrance or exit, the shorthand name that we use for every ball path entrance or exit, and these are color-coded for whether the portals are in only, in out, or out only, and this doesn't even include the scoops. We don't bother to talk about the scoops because we know we have those. And so I haven't bothered to do the math to describe how many possible paths and combinations are available, but a lot, right? And these are dynamically linked in software, so with consistent rules, right? Because if you could literally link any portal to any other portal, the player would be very confused. So there are static rules about how the language works. These are mock-ups of hub mode. For a long time, we were developing with virtual inserts just on top of this image to the left, just to get sort of basic mode logic working. and then we fast forward to these sort of different iterations, and as the CAD was coming together, sort of looking more like the game in addition to having decorations for what the HUD would look like on the main screen. You'll notice it's very Final Resistance-y. If you played Final Resistance, those static inserts stayed. This is something we really wanted, and we wanted to continue into this game. Here is a very early implementation of Hub, where Ian put this together, and we were just blown away. If you know Final Resistance, you probably might notice a couple other things are lingering around from that game as well. But I'll play it again just in case you didn't see it. Right? It's the inserts on the right ramp animating away when the right ramp lifts out of the way. Right? So it has that sort of dynamic nature. And that's not what it looks like today, right? There's just sort of a proof of concept. How badly does our frame rate dive when we start doing these 3D tricks? And the answer was not bad. Not that bad. It's much better now. But this was before a lot of optimization. And so if you're wondering, how does it work when you live in Massachusetts and the company is down in Texas, the answer is a lot of Google Meet and a lot of streaming videos that are like this, where what you're seeing here is the streaming rig over at Multimorphic. This is the top-down view. This is the playfield module view. And this is the backglass running a debug scene that Ian was instrumental in improving from what we've done in previous games, where we're actually able to see what the game logic thinks it's doing. So we can see a history of shot events, we can see the portal assignments in the top left, we can see the possible paths and portal assignments in all these places on the screen, and then we can actually see, because when you're dealing with a whitewood, it could be the case that the software is wrong and the mech is working well. It could be the case that the software is right and the mech is binding for some reason. And so being able to see, well, no, the game thought it had asked for this path, but we're not getting it. We need to figure out why that ramp is binding. Or, okay, the game, the game didn't ask for the right thing. That's why that shot wasn't available to you. Or, okay, we're seeing a lot of spurious activations of the switch. We need to figure out what's going on there. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's nice because we primarily want the players to focus here, so that during development we can use that. These are some test chambers, sort of in evolution. This is the first version of the high-energy pellet test chamber that Ian had worked out, which was just dropped on top of the hub mode, and is the concept for there are panels, and there is essentially a ball moving, and you hit the shots to rotate the panels. And then this was the first iteration of the test chamber. A lot of these were developed in, we had access to the 3D assets from Valve for the Portal games, and then we also used Hammer in their actual tools, and so we had a process by which some things were developed in Hammer directly and then exported as videos, whereas other things were developed in Hammer, which is the Valve engine to build test chambers and lots of things really, and then brought them into our environment, and then you can see what it looks like on the right, sort of more fully actualized. I'm going to try to speed these last couple slides because I think I'm going too long. And then this is what the first test chamber test chamber number 1, the big fling. On the left, you see it built in an official Valve tool, and on the right, here it is in Hammer. And I was wrong and fairly insistent that this should be top down. And here was Ian's video placating me, showing me how wrong I was, and that it's actually much better if it's first person, more like the game in this test chamber. And so the idea was that as you completed the shots, it would pan out and pan out and pan out. But no, then there's the other video, which I didn't show, which looks much better. But because this part has to be first person, you have to fall through the portal and big momentum down. And so it's sort of odd to switch at that last minute. But yeah. Okay. Next slide. And so I don't know if people have had a chance to play it. People had a chance to play it, or people? No. Okay. All right. I'm going to just show some quick videos just so you can see what it looks like. So this is what the big fling looks like today. This is Jerry and the official live stream, which was only like a week ago, where you can see he's making these shots, and then the camera moves to the next shot, and how easy it is to see. And the static inserts in these levels are actually on arms thematically that come out and hold the panels that have the inserts on them. think he drains any minute now. But the point is, this is how this test chamber presents. This is test chamber 1. If you're playing, use the yellow buttons to pre-select your chamber. You get back in line. Let's check out. So this is the very first. No, this is not the very first, but it's one of the very early versions of the discouragement beam, thermal discouragement beam chamber. And then what it looks like now is that you shoot this physical spinner on the left, and the beam rotates and sweeps through, and physically, right? It virtually impacts your physical elements. So your flippers lose their ability to hold briefly while they're sparking. Your slingshots go dead. Jerry's arm doesn't go in the way every time. That's just in this video. I'm sorry if you were hoping he would do that for you. That was a dumb joke, but I'm feeling rushed for time. So there it is. That's on me. Unsurprisingly, 60 slides might have been too many. Anyway, this is It Takes Two, which is a test chamber that's actually a multi-ball. And so the idea is you shoot the center shot, and then you collect a I was going to say a way to storage cube. You collect a companion cube, and one of the balls represents the companion cube, and the other ball represents you, and you shoot a shot to send the companion cube through a portal, and then you chase it through. And so at the first, you have 3 shots. You could take any one of those paths. And then when you get to the next room, you have 2 paths available. When you get to the last room, you only have 1 path available. So it sort of narrows in, and nothing bad would ever happen to that cube, of course, at the end of the chamber. So, and then here's Faith Blade Multi-Ball. And the thing that Faith Blade Multi-Ball has, which is a pretty nice feature, in which you have hurry-ups available to you during different times of it, where you can lock balls behind the cube, and while the balls are held, you get 2x jackpot, 3x jackpot, try to collect it and finish it out. So there's a lot here for tournament players who want to chase scores, or just you want more things to work on. I haven't even talked about how the spinner rules work or how Ratman's Den works, but there's lots to discover and a lot to enjoy. Okay, what's left? What are you playing now? You're playing a game that does not have all of its call-outs in it. I've got about 3,000 or so call-outs from Mark Silk. I've got about 850 total call-outs from Ellen that are, I shouldn't say call-outs, I've got access to the recordings that Ellen did for Portal 2 as GLaDOS. There's about 850 of them. And I've got 3,000 that were custom recorded as Reggie by Mark Silk. And those need to get integrated into the game in a way that is both fun and compelling and instructive without being annoying and repetitive. We have much more narrative story to flesh out. Well, we don't have to flesh it out. To implement into the game, we know exactly what it is. 2 more test chambers, Ratman's Den, the wizard mode, stuff. But hopefully the game presents pretty completely now. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Questions?
One, and don't get to repeat the question.
Of course.
So you have the playfield extender, or
Yes.
whatever you're calling it, and that's game specific. Is there any sense of whether that's a per game design option, or you might eventually see, well, as a common pattern, we should have a generic extender? What do you think will happen with the extender?
So right now, the question was about the playfield extender, and right now this playfield extender is very much decorated for the Portal universe, right? It presents as a repulsion gel, and it presents as those things. So there's no thought to being able to use that extension in Lexi Lightspeed, say, or Heist. Not only just because the decoration is different, the shot paths are different, right? So this extension is such that the shot geometry works well with the extension in place. And if you remove it, if you play without the extension, the shot geometry still works. You wouldn't want that same extender on there. So I think if we were to develop a generic extension, it would have to be for, we haven't talked about it, because it would have to work for only certain modules that share common shot entrances. And so yeah, I think they need to be separate. But I think you'll see more extensions available in the future, if that's the question.
Working with Valve, how much collaboration happened with Valve?
Yeah, so the question was, how was working with Valve? Scary and intimidating, but also super duper awesome. They were always nice. They always said nice things. They gave very critical feedback at times. They wanted to represent the universe as accurately as possible. So there were rules. There were rules that we had, and there were rules that we thought we were not breaking of their rules. And then they said, no, don't do that, right? Like panels in their universe are always presented in that white light. We're like, but it's pinball. We need color matching so people can figure out what to do. And illuminating around those panels in specific colors was ultimately okay, but it wasn't okay to illuminate those panels. And I thought that was right. It was very fair. But yes, very scary to be on a call with Valve and having them assess it. But no, they were great. They offered to have their script writers take a look at the script when we submitted it. And I remember we had a very specific joke in there, and they were like, oh, no, that's good. Seems like you guys get the humor of the universe. And we're like, that's rad. Like, how could you do better than that? Then you get that thumbs up. Thank you. Is that an okay answer?
Yeah, they provide a lot of the assets that are in there.
Oh, yes. Oh, and they provided, it's awesome to get an email from anyone that ends in Valve software. And when that email has an attachment that is, a huge amount of 3D models, textures, sound assets, music, yeah, we had it. It was great. Yeah.
I've actually been asked a little bit about the voice acting. Did you all get to work directly with Ellen, or was that something you sent over and you kind of got things back?
Yeah, so we don't have new recordings from Ellen in the game. We licensed the right to use all of her recordings for Portal 2. So everything that she recorded for Portal 2, we have access to, and there's a lot. And then we debated about this a lot, right? And we wanted Reggie to be your friend, who tells you you're doing a good job and tells you what to shoot, and never seemed quite right for GLaDOS to be telling you you're doing a good job. Here's what you should shoot. She should tell you that you're a bad person and you should feel bad about yourself. And Reggie needs to be the sort of uplifting character. And Mark has done an amazing job. But yeah, thank you. Yes, question.
So how many of you were pro fans before you got involved in this team? How many of you had to like sort of get both of you together in this role to figure this out?
Oh, no, that's a great question. So I would consider myself a Portal superfan. Ian Harrower would consider himself a superfan, and I would consider him one as well. Steven Silver also. So we were the three creative directors on the game, but we were absolutely superfans. And everybody else who was working on the game was at least moderately aware of it. Scott was very excited when we found out we had it, Scott Denisi, and he was excited to take a stab at it. And I think he's done something really cool with the music here, honestly, to sort of make it more uplifting. But yeah, no, there's a lot of Portal fandom. The nerddom runs strong in our group. So.
One more question.
Sure. Please.
I'm very new. I'm sorry, I've never heard of you. I have heard of some of your machines, so if I'm asking a dumb question, please forgive me.
No, you're fine.
But the 3D CAD program that you had displayed there,
Yeah.
showing the layout of your game, is that an in-house software or something that you're looking to release to the public so people can kind of begin to build their own designs that might fit well into your module, so that it becomes easier for people to do in-house homebrews?
Yeah, I understand the question. So the question was, is the 3D modeling stuff that I'm showing proprietary, or is it an off-the-shelf product? For building the playfield, for designing the playfield, that's a standard CAD program. I don't recall which one TJ uses. For the actual simulation of the game and the integration and everything, we do that in Unity, built on top of a pretty robust framework that we've built in-house, and we actually make available to any third-party developer, so they can download that SDK and they can start developing games. There are also all these blueprints are available. People want to make their own modules, and there's a lot of documentation on how you can go about doing that and writing software for it. And then, of course, we also have another layer internally, which is sort of the stuff I've built up over since Weird Al, Final Resistance, of like things to make it a little bit more streamlined for us to build games, which at some point we'll port parts of it back and make them available to everyone.
Follow up on that? So
yeah.
when you say third-party developer, are you talking about only people whose intent is to make a sellable module, or would it include homebrew?
Oh, it totally includes homebrew, right? Like, so we have a lot of people who have P3s and they bought them because they just want to make a game. And, they start with like a retheme of Heist or something like that. Like there's a cool game that was not on our radar and then just showed up on the Discord, which is this game called Young Martial Artist. And the developer just wanted to develop this game, wanted this game to exist, and released it totally for free. Just so that anyone who's an owner can go to the store and download it, install it. And when you think about that, right, that's a pretty wild thing to do, is to sort of enable all these people to make games on this platform and give everyone I love the weird games. I make a weird, when I'm not working for Multimorphic, I make weird games, and I have a whole bunch of prototypes that aren't fun, but I just was like, this has to be fun. Nope. I released a game. Well, there's a lot of things where you're like, why doesn't a game of blank exist ported to it? It's like, that one's not fun. You can modify it, make it fun, but at least the way I tried it, it wasn't fun. And I have a game called Dungeon Door Defender, which like people either love or just like it's too weird for me, where it's like a tower defense game in pinball, right? Sort of these weird things are a unique possibility on the P3. And again, the nerddom runs strong in our group, so I think maybe that's part of the answer. But yeah, open for people to do stuff with. Cool.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. What should I do so I don't make loud noises? Just turn it off? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You can still hear me? All right, great. So thank you for everyone. Are we good? We're not ready? Okay.
You guys?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Hi, everyone.
Bring a little closer.
A little closer.
Hello.
Hello.
Awesome. Shall we get started? Awesome. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, first of all, in accordance with Chapter 220 of Massachusetts General Laws, I'm required to tell you that this meeting is being recorded and possibly even live streamed. So anything you say, try to own it and not say something libelous or scandalous or whatever, because it's going to be out there and it's going to be on you. So you've been notified of your legal obligations. Our next topic is one that we've visited in stages over the years, how Stern is reaching out to locations and operators and players, and in a minute I'm going to set up the famous structure of the industry chart that we use every year, the venerable chart. And you've heard him before, Michael Grant, who is now the senior manager of global location entertainment for Stern Pinball.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Well, I'm extremely excited and honored and privileged to speak before y'all here, who's in attendance, as well as everyone listening and watching on the video upload later after the fact. I'm extremely proud of the people sitting besides me, including all other Stern Army members. We have Jess Warren, Amber Lee, and Mike Focus. We're going to get into all the amazing work they are doing to help promote location pinball, support their local communities, support their favorite operators, and how we do it. So extremely excited about this. So let's get into it. First of all, who here is relatively familiar with Stern Army? Show of hands. Oh, most of you, just about everybody. Great. Who's participated in a Stern Army tournament or event? Great. Of you people, how many have been to a Stern Army launch party? Just about all of you. Fantastic. Excellent. All right, let's get this started. Let's see. All right, so Stern Army. We're going to learn what is it, what's our goal, what are the benefits for the local pinball communities, pinball operators, pinball locations, and Stern Army members. So what is Stern Army? You see some familiar faces here. So we are, let's go back, sorry. Here we are. Stern Army is the global network of official Stern brand ambassador tournament directors who make up Stern Pinball Street Team, the Stern Army. Members coordinate with their dedicated public location and operator to plan, promote, and execute Stern Army branded, IFPA sanctioned pinball events at least monthly. So the Stern Army member jacket, what does this signify? It signifies prestigious membership of Stern Pinball's global street team, Stern Army. This person is likely a Stern Army tournament director who, again, plans, promotes, and executes Stern Army events at their designated location. They are Stern Pinball brand ambassador, a leader in their pinball community, and they're actively driving pinball growth to their favorite pinball locations while growing and supporting their pinball operator and growing the community. So here are some fun pictures of Amber's events. I love their D&D outfits for their launch party. Very cool. There'll be pictures mixed in between the slides. People like pictures. I went backwards. Let's try that again. All right. So what's our goal? We're trying to grow pinball. By doing that, we solidify a relationship between the location, the player base, and Stern Pinball through hosting recurring events at their designated location. So we inspire and empower tournament directors to help develop and nurture their local pinball communities while providing support and resources to help accomplish this goal. Together, we're growing pinball worldwide at the local level. In doing such, we're creating more locations, more games, more players, and a stronger pinball community. All right, so what are the requirements for a location to be a Stern Army location? So it must be a public location, the Google Maps listing with clearly stated public business hours. Must have 4 or more working pinball machines, including at least 1 Stern. More Sterns the better. And you can use other brands' tournament games in your tournaments. That's totally fine. And ideally, there would be a high score leaderboard, but it's certainly not required. It's just encouraged. So here's some pictures of events that I have run in the Chicagoland area. And for those who don't know, I'm actually from New England. This is my home show, my favorite show, to see all my friends. But I'm currently living in Chicago and helping grow the pinball community out there. So, member responsibilities. Ultimately, it's simple as committing to hosting, running your events once a month. They have to be IFBA sanctioned at your designated location. Be sure to create an IFBA tournament director account to schedule in your events and submit them to the calendar. So you want to coordinate with the location, get to know the people who make the key decisions, whether it's the general manager, the person who runs the marketing, the bartenders. And then you want to ideally determine a recurring schedule, whether it's the first Tuesday of the month, the third Wednesday, whatever it is. Get into a routine to help train people and familiarize them with when the tournaments are happening. You can ask the location to donate prize support. I always recommend a gift card or merch from the location. Helps people coming back and support the location. Of course, consult your local liquor laws, but you can ask them about food and beverage specials, maybe some, half-price apps, something like that. And of course, coordinate marketing. There's all sorts of things you can do. A lot of times, the location will have an employee who runs their their social media. So you'd want to create a digital event flyer, create a Facebook event. And these are things you have to do, but it certainly help bring visibility to your events. You create a local digital community, like we've got the Long Island Pinball Society that Mike's created, and other groups. Absolutely, shout out. And we'll get into some, we'll show examples of all the great work these people are doing to promote their events.
I have flyers up there for my tournaments in Brooklyn.
Excellent. Physical flyers at the location, bathroom posters, whatnot. Get your events listed in the location newsletter email, and of course, display the Stern Army banner at the location. Additionally, a member should be coordinating with the pinball operator. The pinball operator is the person who owns the equipment. Sometimes this is the location itself, or sometimes it's a third party who, what their job is, they purchase pinball machines and other equipment like cranes or ATM machines, jukeboxes, or whatnot, and they operate that as their job. So they maintain the games, they purchase the games, they own the games. Maybe they share some of the revenue with the location, and they also empty the cash box at the end of the week. So coordinate with them. Maybe you can get access to the game keys if they're comfortable with that. Again, getting to know them helps build trust. So they get keys to make game adjustments, free stuck balls or whatnot. Be sure to communicate any issues with the games to the operator. Hey, we got a stuck switch on this ramp or whatnot, just to keep the games playing as best as possible. And then also be sure the operator knows the schedule of when you're running your events. Ideally, you can create a preventative maintenance schedule that's aligned with your event schedule. If you know you have a tournament the last weekend of the month, have the operator come in a week or two beforehand, or maybe the week beforehand, to clean the games and doing any preventative maintenance that might help. Communicate with the players. You want to provide a welcoming, safe environment for the players. Pinball is for everyone, and that's something I firmly believe in and is part of our mission. You want to update, engage the players, use social media, to distribute maybe your own newsletter, leverage Stern Army Insider Connected marketing assets provided. So we have a Dropbox folder with official assets that we create, logos, the quests you might have heard about for Insider Connected, these people have access to these assets and they can do what they want with them as far as using them to promote their events. We recommend using matchplay.com to run your tournament, free software. And we also recommend using the website wheelofnames.com for random giveaways. It's a fun way to make sure prizes are given away at random. And what random prizes are great because anyone can be a winner. It can feel discouraging if the same handful of top players always win the prizes. So winners should receive something, of course, but I highly encourage really cool prizes at random. It really helps encourage new players to return. It's just good for the vibes overall. Here's some fun pictures of me with Stern Army members. In the top left, we've got Connie and Tom. They're actually from Illinois, where I live. And we've got Steve Keeler, who's in the audience here, with Mike Dodona, Big Mike, representing Rock Fantasy. We got Zach from Fun Spot. He should be here. There he is. Amber, of course, and Mike. I don't have any pictures with Jess yet, but we'll get one today. All right. I went backwards again, sorry, guys. All right. Pinball community benefits. So how does this help a local pinball community? Well, ideally, we're getting more locations to choose from to play at. We have an enriched local pinball community. New people are joining, which is fun. We're connecting with like-minded people and making friends. I've made more friends through pinball than I ever have. Personal sense of belonging and fellowship. I think we can all agree that's why we're in this room. Prizes and giveaways from Stern Pinball. Again, I mentioned partner with the location, but also other sponsors. Maybe there's a bakery down the corner that wouldn't mind some extra publicity for their product. So hit up local businesses. Again, random giveaways means anyone can be a winner, regardless of skill.
Michael, also remember that the games get better maintained. That's a benefit right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Maintenance is a very good thing. And of course, with Stern Army launch party experiences, you can see Amber really embraced the D&D theme. Make it fun. And of course, you get an insider connected launch party badge with a launch party. So benefits to the operator. Priority shipment of newly released games. So when we release a new title, we want people to play the game on location. So if you're a Stern Army location, you're getting your game first. You're seeing that initial spike in revenue when everyone wants to play a new game. So we want, ideally, that to be benefiting the operator. With Stern Army events, you're expanding the player base. You're bolstering the player community. And, of course, increased activity around the games means more earnings in the cash box. And then you, of course, a personal opportunity as the operator to embrace, join, embrace, and enhance your local pinball community. Be part of it. Make a difference. And again, another note about random prize giveaways, encourage participation and attract new players and encourages them to return. So to host a launch party, you must be an active Stern Army location. It's an official celebration of a new Cornerstone release that's going to live at the location. This is an exclusive perk for Stern Army locations. It's more than a tournament. Or encourage people to incorporate the theme into the party, make it fun. Again, players will earn a launch party insider connected badge when they log in on the featured game and play a complete game during the event. And we provide fun prizes and giveaways. Here's some photos from Jaws launch parties. Kind of cool. All right. Keep going backwards, sorry guys. So here's some photos from the Sanctum. On the left, you'll see, so I started sending these for each game. It's an event file. The original idea was people would post their event, they would post it around their location and write in their event details. You know, come to the party, the launch party on this date, there'll be this type of tournament. But some locations, like the Sanctum, started having everyone that's participating in the tournament sign this, which I think is really cool. That's great. Yeah. And Gary was kind enough to join the party as well. Thanks, Gary. Yes. So what's in it for me, the Stern Army member? Well, you're an official Stern Army brand ambassador and leader in your pinball community. I think it's pretty cool. You get to develop and nurture your local pinball community. You get free prize support for your events. You get this really cool jacket and access to special preview webinars for new Stern titles. Yesterday, as soon as the teaser dropped for King Kong Myth of Terror Island, I emailed everyone, all 1,000 plus Stern Army members, the link to the webinar. So they'll get special access to learn about the game before the general public.
If you're not able to watch the webinar Tuesday night, are you able to see the webinar at a later date? Or be involved?
You have to be in the webinar to see it, unfortunately, because we don't record it. So I highly encourage you, if you can't make it,
I can't make it.
sorry. Let's see. Oh, also, additionally, invitation to the annual Stern Army Appreciation Party at Microphone Brewing in Elk Grove Village. So this is something I'm really proud of. This coming year will be the third one I've hosted. It's a special event to recognize and show our Stern Pinball's appreciation for the great work Stern Army members are doing. We have a great time. All the VIPs from Stern come. We have a party. We drink a lot of alcoholic beverages. It's good music. It's a really great event, and I encourage anyone in the Stern Army to attend. So here's a flyer for one of Jess's event series, the Rob Wong Invitational. Come check out Rulos, April 6th and May 4th. Some more photos from her events. Is that John Wick in person? That looks like John Wick.
That's Bart, the owner of Rulos, who
Incredible.
did dress up for the occasion.
Incredible.
In South Slope, Brooklyn. Across the street from Buttermilk. So sometimes we do tournaments where we go back and forth.
Here are some more pictures of her events. You can see in the top
I
left,
didn't
she was
bring my
streaming.
Wolverine blades.
Yeah, she's dressed up as Wolverine. That's so cool. Again, embracing the theme of her X-Men. And over on the right, you can see the Grand Champion plaque, some sales flyers, some stickers, and we even include some muscle cars for the John Wick launch party. Here is some. Here's Mike's banner on the left that he created himself using some of the assets we provided. You can see the Stern Army logo and the IFPA logo, but come down and join the fun. Mike came out of nowhere. I'm really proud of Mike. I'm proud of all Stern Army members, but he runs events at a location that has its unique share of obstacles, and he's done a fantastic job overcoming them and creating a vibrant pinball community. It's really something special.
Yeah, I run them at round one location, and I know they're not everywhere, but similar to like a Dave & Buster's, like a family entertainment center. They do have, I think a lineup of 12 Sterns, and I had gotten the idea too because they had a Stern Army banner in the window, and I reached out to Mike, and I was like, I see the banner. Is this a location? He said no. And then I worked with the GM and him, and got everything going. So.
I like how you show the translates on your flyer.
Yeah, if you could see on the right side of the screen, he made this great flyer to promote the translates that will be given away at his events.
I tried to do some color coordination.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
great, really great. If anyone needs a template, I'm sure Mike can share it.
It's postermywall.com, a good website. They have a lot of templates. That's where I got this one from. I mean, I obviously changed a lot of it, but
Very nice. And here's some photos from his events. It's great to see. All right, and now, absolutely. And here's a photo from the Stern Army Appreciation Party. That's where I said a few words during it. And then here's some more photos from it. You can see there are 2 insider connected badges. One was for the inaugural one in 2023. And last year we had just released Metallica during Pinball Expo Week. So I created sort of a Metallica-esque event badge for that. And you can see photos of Gary, George, Seth, the whole gang. Yeah, Cheryl. Cheryl, I used to run events at Microphone where this party takes place. I've since passed the torch to Cheryl, and then Cheryl has since actually become an employee of Stern. She's an electrical engineer and helps build all the prototypes and whatnot. She's incredibly talented.
3D, Gary.
Right? 3D. Here's a screenshot of this is an old screenshot, we have more members now, but of the Stern Army Facebook group that I've created. It's a private group for us to have discussion about Stern Army, ask any questions about running events or whatnot, just a forum for us. Here's digital images of the event poster, as well as we send physical Grand Champion plaques. This is the image of the decal we use for launch parties. Some more, another fun photo of a Jaws launch party.
Complete with shark.
Right? Some
Every picture, everybody at these tournaments is smiling.
that's true.
Every picture, everybody's smiling.
And that's a great point, Dennis. What we're doing really, look, I know we're here to talk about pinball, but it's a lot more than that. And we're building a third space, a place for people to go to forget about work, to forget about the daily grind, the monotony, all the stresses in our lives. When we're playing pinball, in that moment, we're with our friends, we're not worried about anything else. And I think that's really powerful. It's something we all need. So I can't stress how thankful I am for these folks and everyone around the world who are running these events. This is something that's professionally and personally important to me. And I'm honored and privileged to have this platform to execute this. I think we're doing great work, and we're just getting started. So, jumped ahead quick. So, this is something that's also very important to me. Support of women's events. Yeah, very important. We're committed to supporting women's pinball events. We're currently supporting more than 75 women's clubs around the world. The requirements are the same. Just run one Stern Army branded, IFB sanctioned event at your location. I'm not going to micromanage your events. I'm not telling you to run additional events or change your events. Just have fun. That's all I'm asking. You don't have to be bells and chimes. It could be your own club, independent. Pinball's for everyone. And so Amber runs bells and chimes in her area, and Jess has experience doing so. Do you guys want to jump in and share any feedback?
I was just going to say, I don't know if that's on or not, but I'm loud anyway. So I run 2 tournaments a month. I actually run an open tournament, and I run a women's tournament monthly.
Yep.
I work with a local pizza place, and I actually operate as well as run tournaments. So we have like a group of operators that works together to get games into our location. But yeah, we try to do monthly. We're really lucky to have a lot of women's support in our area, all the way up and through New England. You know, many of you probably already may have participated in the Bells and Chimes, Connecticut and Massachusetts joint effort yesterday. There's a really good presence, so it's nice to be in tiny little Rhode Island and also be contributing to that.
And well, I say, run monthly events. If you miss a month or so, it's okay. We're not going to punish you. We're not going to take you out of the club. We all have
good.
lives. Things happen. People get sick, whatever.
I didn't do mine this month because I'm here. It would have been this weekend.
Absolutely.
I have
I think
not
it's a good
missed one. I'm in a 7-week stretch of running a tournament every weekend or traveling to one.
Wow, incredible. And that's something that I should touch on. It's like we're all of us here are giving up a little bit of sacrificing a little bit of our own enjoyment to make sure that others are benefiting from that. We've all had our fun. Amber, she's told me the story where, there weren't tournaments being run, and she said, well, I'll just run them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much why I got into it. I'm pretty good at organizing things, and so I jumped in and started running ours. And now our open tournaments have gotten so large, I no longer play in them as well because we have so many people. Great problem to have. So I've made sure that at least once a month I'm getting out to another location and getting to play an open tournament myself. So you got to make those exchanges in how you're doing things to make sure you're still getting out and having fun in a different way.
Excellent. Yes, Dennis. Oh, come over here, Mike. Dennis.
So my question is, you guys run tournaments, do you do a weekly or you do a monthly? And how many people, between all three of you, how many people typically show up for one of your tournaments?
So I run mine monthly. I would say that we get around 18 to 20. I think I had 23 in January was the high.
That was your one-year anniversary event, right?
Yeah, a month before, yeah.
Okay.
February, I think. So February is the 1 year, and January we had 23.
Cool.
So I run mine monthly, but I run two. So I run every second Sunday is our open, every second Tuesday is our women's. And for our open, I usually get somewhere between 24 to 32. And for our women's, we usually get anywhere between 16 and 24. So I run my Stern Army is a Sunday monthly, which is a match play. I also run a Saturday monthly strikes. And I usually get about 20, 25 people for those. And then also twice a year, I co-run Valentine's Day and Brooklyn Pin Pride. We were just able to go up to 56 players in February for Valentine's Day. We do a Trans Lights for Trans Rights silent auction that raises money for the Transgender Law Center. And we also raise money for the Ali Forney Center, which provides services to unhoused queer youth in New York City. We've had 6 of those events, and we've raised more than $24,000.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to all of you, and I know that when you guys run these events are thankless. People don't realize what you put into them behind the scenes. There's a lot of preparation, but thank you.
Thank you.
What are you, can I piggyback on that? Jess, you said what your format's at. What formats do you?
So I run a group match play. I do 6 rounds with top 4 go to finals, and I would expand. Finals would expand depending on number of participants.
I actually switch it up. I try to do a different format every month, and that's partly because I'll look around and see what other larger tournaments are happening in other states and what their format is, and try to get my local people to try it out, and then let them know that there's a tournament coming up elsewhere so that they feel a little more secure in trying a new format or trying something else. So we'll do, a target match play one month, we'll do a group another, we might do something Flip Frenzy-esque if something's coming up elsewhere, but just to try to get them, a lot of our players are new, a lot. So to try to get them comfortable with formats and feeling really empowered to go out and visit other locations, other states, other tournaments, without feeling like they're jumping into something they've never tried. That's really cool. I've tried to experiment a little with the format for launch parties, but for my monthly, we have to finish by 9:30 for karaoke, so like we're time boxed there, so that's why we only do top 4 finals and whatnot. But it's great because, the format's flexible and you can figure out what works for your location and your players. I think you should just have your top 4 also pick their karaoke song and have it
That's
be
great,
like a
right?
live competition.
They can sing while they play.
Yes.
Here are some photos from some women's events. On the left, I believe it's a Sanctum, and on the right is, again, Microphone Brewing. And you can see Erin Seiden hosting an event there. Erin has joined her husband, Mark, to move out to Chicago to work in pinball. And Erin does a great job running Stern Army events for us. Here's some more photos of women's events around the country and world. Everybody, again, smiling, have a great time. Some really funny reactions in these pictures. All right, so location benefits. So Stern Army locations receive first priority shipment of the new games. We want players, again, to experience a new game at your location. So we're driving traffic to your location through our Stern Army events, as well as Insider Connected. This would be a whole separate discussion about what we're doing with Insider Connected and quests and achievements. We're really trying to, again, drive players to locations to try and experience pinball.
So I actually, during the Pinball Cup, I had put up like a side challenge and used, I think it was during the Turkey Trot. For the night of the tournament, the top player got a shirt. So depending on the number of points they accumulated over the course of the night for the Pinball Cup, you could look at it. I used the location and essentially took a screenshot right as we started, after, to determine who won. So I tried to incorporate some of that just as like a side challenge. Again, players of all skill levels. And, what's nice too is with the Pinball Cup, players were earning points, they didn't even realize it necessarily. Some players didn't even realize it. So it was like a nice little bonus.
And with increased traffic at the location should see increased incremental food and beverage sales. The location should schedule so that tournament directors should coordinate with the location to decide on a recurring schedule. Schedule it strategically. Think about maybe you want to schedule it on a slower night, like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are very popular to help bring people into the premise. The location is broadening and expanding their customer base. We're elevating the entertainment experience at the location. It's way cooler with pinball. I think we all agree. I'd rather go to a place with pinball. I know when I'm driving, or I'll check Insider Connected to see where's the nearest connected game that I can. I'd rather eat at this place. They have IC. And then of course they can leverage the games, the pinball art, to on social media promoting their location. Sometimes you'll see like a beer or a food plate, and with all the pinball machines in the background. I love that. I love seeing that. So that's a way they can use leverage pinball to differentiate themselves from other businesses. Here are some examples of some events I set up in the Chicago area: Two Brothers Brewing and Microphone Brewing, and some of the ways they're doing that. You can see in the top left, their Two Brothers Pinball themed beer with pinballs in the background. Their beverage, their food offerings. In the top right, this is something cool. At Microphone, we host tournaments the first Thursday of every month. This is a static framed picture that lives at the location. We're always going to be running tournaments, so people see this poster and like, oh, maybe one of these days I should stop by and see what it's all about. And it works. The lower left, they have a really cool marquee sign where I just absolutely love seeing Stern Army on that. Man, it's cool, right behind the bar. And then on the lower right, Microphone made a pinball-themed T-shirt. Microphone is a really great partner with Stern Pinball. We're very thankful for our relationship. Just real quick, here is an example of a Two Brothers Pinball on Tap tournament on Facebook, a Facebook event, just to show some of the ways these events are being promoted. Here's a Facebook event on the left from Microphone. Derek was running these events last year, but Cheryl is actually now running these events. I ran them before Derek. And you can see Erin on the right there again at Microphone. Here's that. Maybe you couldn't see this when I was talking about it earlier. Maybe you could, yeah. Here's a better picture of that sign. Here on the left is a post on social media. You can see their weekly calendar events, the Stern Pinball Tournament, and on the right they email it to their customer base. So again, another way to bring new players to the event, or to make them aware of the event. Here's a shot of the events being in my area on the IFBA tournament calendar. All right, let's talk about growth. So we're seeing incredible growth, absolutely explosive demand, double-digit year-to-year growth. It's incredible. We have more than 1,000 cumulative Stern Army members, which I'm absolutely blown away by. In the past few years, we're really seeing an uptick in participation of Stern Army. We have more than 825 unique Stern Army locations around the world in 22 countries and counting. All in all, we've done more than 3,600 individual launch parties since Guardians of the Galaxy. And now we're international. We've hired Lloyd Dorton, who dotted line reports to me. He helps manage Stern Army in Europe, as well as assisting operators with their ICA Pro accounts and locations. Again, we are global, active in 22 countries and counting. You can see the list of countries here. And we have more in the works. And there was a reminder, everyone should log in and play at the games in the automated booth to earn their event badge for Pintastic Pinball. We used the fantastic 10th anniversary logo to create the badge. I think it came out great.
I have to get one after this. Yeah, same.
This is great. We're just about at the end. I'd love to do some Q&A with the audience. Dave, you might have some questions.
I have a question. It's more like an observation. Even though it's called an army, it seems like you're very non-combative. Like it's nothing that you said is one chapter of the army is trying to outdo another. Everything's cooperative, right?
Absolutely, 100%. One might argue the choice of the name Stern Army at once upon a time was not the best name. I know it's not necessarily. You know, I'll just say this: we don't really lean into the military theme of it. It's all inclusive. You know, it's where no one is fighting. The Army is more of a theoretical representation of the quantity of great volunteers that are doing amazing work around the world. Hey, Kiss is a great example. Steve.
Kiss Army.
It's a great example.
parallel. Okay. Other questions? Come on down here.
I mean, I look at it more like a network too, right? I mean, when I started running my tournaments and I put this community group together, I really didn't know anybody. There was a place that kind of had a tournament, and then they stopped having tournaments. And when I got into the hobby, I was watching tournament streams and everything, and I was like, I want to do tournaments. And that's when I also started to figure out how, right? And then, through that, I've wanted to play in more, so I've gone into Brooklyn, and I've met, Jess and the other directors who run tournaments down there. And even there's a lot of non-Stern Army events, still IFPA, but again, it's just a huge network of people. Come up to Rock Fantasy and played a few times. So definitely very expansive.
Yes.
Are most
Go.
of the Vermont has a unique pinball landscape. It's not on.
It is on.
It is on. So Vermont has a unique pinball landscape northern-wise. The locations southern-wise, Pastime Pinball in Manchester and Gravitate in Rutland are larger locations, very public locations. Our biggest location in Burlington is the Pinball Co-op, 36 machines, but it's a private club.
Yes.
And it gets to the point where you don't want all that much more foot traffic. The location pinball in central and northern Vermont is small. And so I'm wondering if most of the Stern Army locations are public locations, or are they more private club that
Great
feel
question.
like they have a cap?
I'm glad we're talking about this. So most locations are public businesses. However, we do have examples of private clubs that meet all the requirements, such as the Sanctum, such as the Western Mass Pinball Club, the Southern New Hampshire Pinball Club. The only thing we need to do is have public hours listed. Maybe it's once a month on a Saturday where you invite the public to come in and check out the games or whatnot. Ultimately, we need folks. The idea is we want folks to be able to find on Google a place to play pinball, and if that's the nearest place, they can see. Okay, they're open on these days at these hours to check it out. So I'm willing to work with folks. Just reach out to me, Stern Army at sternpinball.com, and I can answer any questions.
Hi there. Can you hear me through
Yes.
this, by the way? Okay. This ties in just with what you're saying. I'm curious if there's a way to have a Stern event in a private home.
It's a great question. That is something we're looking at. We're going to be doing a test program in Europe for actually private clubs and potentially residences that are hosting IFBA tournaments. It's something we're looking at. It's not something that's right around the corner, but we are absolutely aware. More games do ship from Stern and our distributors to the home market, but more people are playing games on location than in their people's homes. So it's a balance. So we want to support both events at home ultimately and events on location. So it's a great question. And it just would take for us to do it right. It would require a lot of resources. There would be huge demand, I'm sure of it. So we want to do it right. When we roll it out, we want to make sure we do it the right way. But it's a great question, and just give us some time.
Okay, thank you.
You know, even with the tournaments and clubs, right? I mean, you can always cap it. You can always put a cap, like 24, 36 players. Like, my idea would be to, obviously, if it's a closed membership club, not open to the public, you could run maybe a monthly open event where the members pay to the pot fee, public pays, a cost plus pot fee.
Yeah, it's not that, it is open to the public, it's just that the owner doesn't want he doesn't really want to drive more business in.
Okay.
More business is not helping this club. It's good, we welcome it, we want the, private parties, all the things, we always want more people. But it does, the year that I promoted the state championships, he almost had to cap the number of people coming in nightly, on the night he was out, and that is what we don't want. Because then it's a delicate balance. So it's not, I don't think he's interested in the Stern Army because he just doesn't want that kind, he doesn't need it.
Understood.
It doesn't help his business. But there are locations that are smaller that would love it, but none of them have more information.
Well, send me an email. We can,
Yeah, it sounds like we're working toward a solution here that maybe launch parties have a different qualification, that the launch party has to be in a certain kind of place that is more public, and then the monthly tournament, if you start looking at caps, and how about advanced registration? Do you have any guidelines about a tournament that you would register in advance and it's only 24 and it fills up in 2 seconds, and
People
that's
can-
still
Yeah, we try not to micromanage folks' tournaments. If they want to set a cap with pre-registration, they're certainly welcome to.
I think a lot of times it just depends on number of machines and space, Like, I haven't had an issue. I mean, we have at mine is 12 games, but 10 unique games. They do have 2 duplicates. So I haven't run into an issue yet where, I have too many people where they'd have to like sit and wait for games, or, I mean, one of the games has not functioned that well that I don't use at all. So like one of the duplicates I don't use. So like it would limit, I don't want people waiting around, for a 30-minute round, and then they get on the game, and now everybody else has to wait because one group. I mean, I haven't run into that issue.
Yeah, I look I look at what we have for games on the floor, and I do a multiplier of about 4 people, just because if we're doing like group match play or what have you. So I do the math quick. I usually put it on the IFPA event. I don't do pre-reg. I've started doing some pre-reg on match play just to make life easier for people if they want to put themselves in, but I'm not. I haven't reached caps yet. If I do, great. That's awesome. I hope I reach a cap. That would be great. But as for now, I just kind of put a number up saying like each game times about 4 people based on what format I'm running, and then we usually don't hit it because we've got like 10, 12 machines, so I'm not suffering for lack of games.
Yeah, or the Rob Wong Invitational has a hard 40 player cap because only taking 4 people to finals, so fitting in that taking between 10 and 50% of your field to finals. But we've never hit 40 yet. I don't do pre-registration for my monthly events. It's just show up. I do sign-ups half an hour before the tournament starts. So, I just use like a Word sign-up sheet that I made and collect people's $10. And I do pre-registration for the 2 larger LGBTQIA plus fundraiser events, though.
I think you guys had like 80 people plus whatever the cap was, plus there was like another 20 something.
We got 40 signups in a minute and hit our 56 player cap, I think in 7 minutes this year.
And
That's
then,
awesome.
Then there was like a huge wait list there.
Totally, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I just put all my people directly into match play when they come in because it now also has prize pool tracking, so you can make it come up with your prize split outs for you, so you don't have to math even once. It's great.
True. Yeah, match play is always getting better.
Big
Andreas
match
is
play plug.
amazing.
I've got a question for Michael.
Hey, Steve.
Hey. So we're encouraged to log in for the launch parties.
Yes.
And for tournaments on the Insider Connected. But I've been told that some of my players, like last week, where they were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and some of the players didn't want people logging in because there's an advantage with certain games. I believe the Venom and the Dungeons and Dragons carries on. So how do you get around that?
Sure.
I wanted to clear that up because
It's a great question. Thank you. Yeah. So there is a solution. So games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Venom, Dungeons and Dragons, where there's game-to-game experience points where a player can earn different things when they're logged in. Their game experience is different than someone who isn't. So the solution is you can put the game in competition mode, whether you do or don't have keys. If you have keys, you can you can change the settings, or if you don't know how to change the settings, you can hold both flippers in until it'll pop up standard game mode. You can toggle. It'll start with standard. You can toggle over, find prolonged competition mode. What this means is it'll stay in competition mode until the game is turned off. And what competition mode does, it removes randomness. It may not remove extra balls, so if you want to turn off extra balls, check that setting. But it starts everyone from the beginning. So maybe you'll level up on your first ball, second ball, or whatever, but everyone's starting at the same point. So that's what I would recommend.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
There was an issue with that you just fixed in the last update, correct?
I don't have first-hand knowledge on that, but I believe that is true. Yeah.
So operators, update your software. Is a lesson.
Yes, please update your code. We're at 0.89 on D&D. Any other questions? Mom? Yes.
Is there another Facebook group for like technical questions? Because I seem to remember that was the thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Is there a Stern Facebook group for technical questions?
There is. Yeah. If you Stern Pinball Tech Support, I think. Yeah. Yeah. And if you can't find it, let me know. I can help you. I'd also like to thank my mom for being here. She's the person responsible for getting me into pinball. So when we were on vacation, in the Cape, there'd always be a pin or two in the motel, and she'd always gravitate towards it, and definitely got me into the silver ball. So I'm infinitely grateful for that. So thanks, Mom. Love you. And with that, unless there's any other
Yeah.
questions, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you for listening. And if you want to join Stern Army, you have questions, you're interested, please email us at sternarmy@sternpinball.com. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks for coming to the seminar. Thanks to all the panelists. Next seminar will be at 12:30, where a name that was just name dropped here, Raymond Davidson,
Yes.
doing his first ever fireside chat. And we'll see what secrets we can squeeze out of him.
Great job, guys.
Thank you, you too.
That was great. Thanks, Steve. Great question. Yeah, that worked out. Yeah.
I'm actually going to be going every Thursday.
Oh, no kidding.
Because, you know, we got 63 games there.
Yeah.
We run the Orange County Pinball Club too, and it goes to other houses, and we're starting to, like, my employees, everyone doesn't get that every second and fourth Thursday. If you can tell them we're going to be open every Thursday.
Right. Yeah, they
And
can
I
remember
might as
that.
well-
Yeah.
I might as well tag the Stern Army in every week.
All we've been doing is sign up for starting the game on competition. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, I thought there was, thought it was a bigger one than that.
Okay,
Well,
because I
it's
sent
new.
out some of the balls, but, you know, everyone has a different.
There is an Insider Pro operator page. Is that the one you're thinking of? Well, that's on the Insider Connect. Yeah, no, I have that. Okay. I have the operator's login as well.
I think people want to get set up.
So we actually share a spot. We have a location. We run tournaments. We also have Bells and Chimes doing it. But there's, I guess, an issue where you can't have two badges.
Yeah, so that's the limitation on Insider Connected.
If they support us, it'd be awesome.
Trust me, it's number 1 or 2 on my list of like things I need to get done, but it's just a matter of getting the IT team to do the private dev work. So they're well aware that I'm screaming from the highest mountain about it. They know. It's just
We might try to do a same day one, or like ours first and Bells and Chimes
Yeah.
after, or something like that.
yeah. I mean, that's good work around actually. That's actually good work around. But yeah, it bothers me that it's not fair. But
I'm just curious
no,
if there was something like that.
yeah, I know. It's on the list.
I'm sure there's not.
But there is, but trust me, I appreciate you mentioning it. It's important to me too. And at some point we'll address it. But thank you. What's your name? Chris. And what's your location?
We're almost famous.
Oh yeah, you guys are great. Thank you.
How many years has it been Stern Army? I feel like I was from day one.
Yeah, you're an OG.
I'm like, I forget what name I am.
Yeah, you
General or.
Oh yeah, well, so he started getting away from.
I